Hello everyone, today you will hear an interesting story. In high school I dated a guy, let's call him Victor. He was my first love, my first sexual experience, and the first person to give me butterflies in my stomach. He had a brother, let's say Anton, who also had feelings for me. He had even made attempts to pursue me before I started dating his brother. However, I didn't reciprocate his feelings and we remained friends. I would often visit their house and Anton never showed any resentment or hurt towards me. In my second year of university, Victor and I broke up. After graduation, I left town, got married, and had children. Everything was going well until I found out that Anton had been spreading rumors about me. He was saying that I was promiscuous, had many lovers, and was contagious. One day while visiting my parents in town, I ran into Anton by chance. I learned that he had a difficult life, with a grumpy wife, a rushed wedding, and a low-paying job as a locksmith or electrician. Meanwhile, things had worked out much better for me. I realized that he was either jealous or still harbored resentment towards me for not dating him in the past. I decided to let go of the situation and not dwell on unpleasant people. Years went by, and the rumors about me continued to spread. They even reached my parents, which deeply offended me. I hatched a plan for revenge, and found a beautiful woman in my hometown who was willing to play a role for a fee. She would capture Anton's heart and make him fall for her. However, she would not sleep with him and would instead lead him on. The plan worked and Anton became infatuated with her. He showered her with gifts, promised to leave his wife, and even talked about a future together. This went on for 6 months, with the woman sending me pictures and videos and telling me all the details. I started to feel sorry for Anton, but I was determined to go through with my revenge. I returned to town once again and decided to meet up with my friends, including Victor, my first boyfriend, and his family. Although we weren't close friends, we were not enemies either. We all went out to a restaurant with our families, and Anton and his wife were also there. He started to mock me and say vulgar things. Everyone was taken aback, but no one said anything. I decided to take action and asked him if everything was okay with his wife. They assured me that everything was fine and they were even on a second honeymoon. That's when I pulled out a stack of photos of Anton with the woman I had hired. I said, "I'm not sure you're as clean as you claim to be." Oh, what a scandal. Oh, what a scandal that was. I really enjoyed the moment. By the way, Anton didn't seem to divorce his wife. My parents decided to move closer to the heat, so I stopped visiting my hometown and finally let the situation go for good. Story 2. We have been married for 6 years. We have 2 children ages 2 and 4. I decided to write this, as I hope it will be easier to go on living with a traitor. We got married in 2011. Soon after my son was born. After he was born, my wife changed. She was 20 years old at the time, and had to devote most of her time to our child instead of partying. Sometimes we fought, and after one particularly bad fight, we separated for a week. She went to live with her son at her mom's place. It was there that she cheated on me with 2 acquaintances from her company. She later told me it was revenge on me. I forgave her and gave her one last chance in 2013. Everything seemed fine after that, and our daughter was born. However, my wife became even more nervous and we started fighting more often. I was often working late at night and didn't pay enough attention to her. We only went out once a week, and I would occasionally give her flowers. It got to the point where, when I came home from work tired and listened to her hysterics, I didn't want her as much as before. Our intimate life became less and less frequent, which also led to more fights. One day, her friend flirted with me and I tried to make a move, but it didn't work. My wife found out and miraculously we didn't break up. However, our relationship grew even colder. She registered on a dating site out of boredom and tried to rekindle our relationship, but I had lost interest in her. In terms of sex, I thought she couldn't satisfy me and I became uninterested. In the winter of this year, she started an intimate correspondence with a guy named Misha from out of town, but claimed they would never meet. She got sucked in, and they even engaged in phone sex with pictures and videos. She also started dating guys from the dating site looking for a replacement for me. While it didn't lead to sex, there was kissing involved. Then she went to the capital to visit her sister and reconsider our relationship. In her correspondence with someone on the site, she said she was seeking revenge. While in the capital, she was with her daughter, and I stayed with my son. However, since I had to work, I left my son with my grandmother and only took him to the garden. My wife went out to clubs with her sister and relaxed on weekends. It was there that she met Ada, who courted her. When she was bored, she would text local guys on social networks and sometimes invite them to the club where she hung out with her sister. She even asked Misha to come to the capital, but he couldn't make it. With Ida, they spent 20 days dating, but as I found out later, they slept together, though she denied it. She was there for a month. I thought she was there to get back at me, and when she arrived, we would break up. I went to have fun, but my wife was told by someone that the car wasn't near the house, so she called me. I excused myself, but my wife didn't believe me. Before she came home, we had a fight, and I told her I had also gone away for a month to work and hadn't met her. On the second day of her arrival, I came and apologized, and she seemed to forgive me. But she said that she was fed up with such a life, and now she would go out with her friends more often. She went out, and I stayed home with the kids at night and was often late for work because she sometimes came in at lunchtime. Eventually I got sick of it and said I would go out too, but I didn't. I slept at work, and as it turned out, she had been going out with a guy from a dating site since the third day she got home. Then I couldn't stand it and rented them an apartment and said I would help. But just don't torture me like that. She lived there for 2 weeks, and her boyfriend offered to give her children to me and him to have his own, so she left him. From time to time, I went over there and slept with my wife. She said she didn't have anybody. Then I stopped by her place at night, but she wasn't home. Her friend was at home drunk with her boyfriend, and the kids were asleep. I called her, and she admitted to having a lover. She said she loved him, and I wasn't there anymore. It turns out she was cheating on him with me. I felt really bad. Then she came to get her things, and I forgave her, and we lived in that rented apartment. There was swearing and old memories. It was hard for me to live with a traitor. I was suspicious of her all the time. She was angry that I was digging and couldn't help reminding her of the past, but I couldn't help it. I wanted to talk it out and understand somehow. We argued a lot, and on her mom's birthday, she had a drink, and I went to pick her up, but she wasn't there. I called, and she said she had gone to the store, but it was closed. She said I was near the entrance of the neighboring house. We argued again, and I left. She was crying, drinking, and called her father's friend Misha by mistake. He came over, she cried out to him, they drank, and she fell asleep. In the morning, she came home, we argued, and then this Misha wrote that he invited her to the movies. I saw it, but didn't tell her. I decided to see what would happen next. And then she had to go to a relative. She called this Misha, and he drove her. I put a wiretap on her phone. She arrived, and I told her I had seen the correspondence, and it was over. She went to a friend's sauna that night, and I asked her if she still respected me a little bit to come by 12 a.m. I had to work tomorrow. She came in the morning, and there she was with Misha. Then after work, I picked up my things and left. She invited her friend and her boyfriend, explaining that she didn't want anything to do with him because he was my father's friend. Then she drank and called Misha, telling her friend that she needed support after breaking up with her husband. She also mentioned that she and Misha would go out together, and that she would go to bed. However, she got drunk and ended up sleeping with Misha. The next day, when Misha left, she called me and offered to come back. I declined, but she threatened to harm herself by cutting her wrists. Worried, I went back to her. We decided to stay here until our daughter starts kindergarten. I was afraid for her, the children, and myself. It's difficult to live with a traitor, but you have to. I wanted revenge, to somehow ease the pain, but my wife saw my correspondence with the other woman on the phone and caused a scene. I didn't actually want revenge, but it was hard to live like that.